Oh man, I love that song. Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with an awesome podcast with my good friend Greg. What do you got over there, Greg? Is that?
Oh, what's up, everybody? Good to see you, Randy. and a big shout out to Ernie. Thank you for hooking us up, Ernie, the man.
He's a cool dude. So for those of you that do not know, Graig Weich is a comic book artist. He's a creator, writer, director, HBO UAF award winner, featured in Huffington Post, V1, Howard Stern. The list goes on and on. Everyone, before we get started, say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. That's my dog statue that everyone loves. All right, so what you got there? What you got in your hands?
Oh, this is my comic book, co-created by writer Brandon Wilson and me, the artist Graig Weich from BeyondComics.tv, and this character's name is Gakito from my company Beyond Comics, and it's a new, exciting kind of superhero character that introduces some of my other characters as well. So this guy is Gakito, and he wakes up, in fact, I'll show you a little preview, right in the middle of being attacked by a slew of ninjas, and he has no idea what the hell is going on. And that's the way he wakes up. And that's the opening of the comic book. And he has to figure out why the hell he's being attacked by so many ninjas. And it's exciting because I drew it originally by hand and then digitally colored it and then drew the rest of the pages digitally. So you actually could see that this was first penciled and then inked and then digitally colored. But the interior I ended up going full digital on that as well. But all drawn by hand, so you can see the character here. Gakito means wrath in Japanese, and that is available at the website beyondcomics.tv, right there.
Okay, so that one is that available? I know you said we could read it there. Could we buy? How do we buy the physical right now?
Yeah, you could get the physical right off the website now because it's sold out. It was distributed by Diamond, which is Marvel and DC Comics former distributors as well. Currently still distributing the Marvel books, and now my books at Beyond Comics. So if you go to beyondcomics.tv, you can get the signed copy there. Or if you want to read it digitally, you can search Gakito, which is also available at Kindle Comics by Amazon or Comixology on Amazon or Global Comics with an X. So you can get them over there as well.
All the links are down below.
Yes, links in the description below.
that sold out, the physical copies. How many did you guys make?
Yeah, it's really exciting because I had this idea to package the comic book separately. So I did different distribution runs. First, buying direct at Comic-Con, which was a prototype version that had the unmasked edition. This one is the masked edition here, but the unmasked prototype was done quite a number of years ago, actually, which we were on the Ice Loves Coco TV show with Ice-T from Law & Order and his wife Coco. It's exciting because I actually officially cast her as a character, which you can see right here. So that's the actual picture of Coco, and then the drawing I did of her as my character. She really dressed up as my character too. And then the other star we got is the star of Mortal Kombat, Cary Tagawa. Yes, Shang Tsung, Cary Tagawa. And he's also star of The Man in the High Castle on Amazon Prime, now as our character, Lord Shinryu. And then Baba Booey from The Howard Stern Show, and Adrian Curry, winner of America's Next Top Model. So I actually decided, let me cast the comic book as you would a movie, except I'll illustrate them as our characters. So they are legitimately playing roles in the comic book, which has been really exciting. And you can actually see our characters battling Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa as our character, Lord Shinryu. And there's another cool shot where we have Coco making her debut here. Boom, right over here. That's Coco. So hand drawn to look like her. And thanks, man. Yeah, and she's playing the part of Cleo, goddess of seduction. Has the power to control the minds of men to do her bidding, but it does not work on Gakito. And he's like, let's dance. And she's like, my powers don't work on you.
I'm curious why. I can't wait to read this.
It's an exciting story. And here's my little cameo, by the way. Like Alfred Hitchcock puts his stuff in there. So there's my little,
that's great.
In the background, But it's been exciting. And what I ended up doing was we got a licensing deal from TB League Bison action figure toys. So in addition to, the few thousand books that we distributed with Diamond at, that distribution company, plus my website, plus Comic-Con, then I said, hey, let me package this new exclusive limited edition version with the action figure. And then that sold out worldwide. It generated a tremendous amount of money in less than 5 days in retail sales. It was almost $500,000 in retail sales for that figure. Yeah, I mean, we didn't get that. They got that. The action figure company got most of it. We got a small little royalty and percentage, which was nice, and that kind of helped us put out more work and everything we're working on now. But I worked so hard in the industry to build my credentials. So I got my start way back in the day when I was working for Todd McFarlane on Image Comics Spawn issue number 30, which was a real thrill because all these years later, I just saw him a week and a half ago at Comic-Con in New York, which was so thrilling. And we just agreed to do a brand new deal. So you'll be seeing some new Spawn art that I've created as a digital NFT exclusive on his Odd Key website, which is like odd like Todd, Odd Key. So it's oddkey.com, and stay tuned. You'll see that launching there as well. So it's a whole new digital world and bring my traditional art into the new NFT world. And that's exciting because I know there've been some problems with NFTs or people who didn't back up their utilities. But in my case, I really produce comic books and I actually have the real products. And in addition to that, we'll have these digital twins of them, so to speak, to make it available for people and collectors, in the space.
So I saw that you had the physical stuff there. How many of the physical copies did you sell? Do you know?
Yeah, it was. I have to check my numbers, but I know we did a little less than 20,000 of the actual book if you put them all together. That's Comic-Con, that's website, that's distribution at Diamond, which was like a couple thousand, and then it was the action figures, and then some online sales as well. So we had different outlets, plus the downloads that we got from. We originally got signed by Comixology. Which approved us, and then that got purchased by Amazon. So then we have to do that again. We had to re-upload everything again when Amazon purchased Comixology, and it turned into this kind of Kindle Comics and all this other stuff. So all that work, we had to redo that all over again. Oh man, it was exhausting, but we did it. So if you put all that together, that's kind of roughly the actual individual units,
I'm glad that. So I was looking over your the followers that I knew that also followed you as well. One of the most impressive ones on there was Popcon and Rashid Al Farouk, who has the biggest comic event in the Middle East. And
so nice. He's great. He's been really cool.
He's been on the podcast before. He's an awesome dude.
He's awesome. He's so nice. He has been such a wonderful guy. And, it's so funny because we both collect toys and artwork and action figures. So to be able to connect with him, and he's been very nice. He invited me to come out, to the Dubai Comic-Con out there, which was awesome. I haven't gotten a chance to be able to leave my art studio to get out there, but I would love to do it. It sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, we should probably do that next year. We've been invited as well. VeVe's been invited. Yeah, it seems fun, and he's just like you said, he's an awesome dude.
Really cool. He's got that big vault, with all his secret comic stash in there and everything.
I want to see it.
Geeking out.
Yeah, I want to see it. It sounds awesome. I mean, just to have that and like people knows where it is, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. And that was the thing too, is that I was talking to him. He'd asked me how I got my start in comic books. And I told him that, way back in the day, Todd McFarlane had hired me to draw the double page poster pinup in issue number 30, which was Angela versus Spawn in that. So when I had done that artwork, that kind of was how I got my foot in the door, thanks to Todd McFarlane. And it's just an incredible journey to come full circle all these, years and years later and be doing new work for the digital NFT Odd Key website that he owns, which is really exciting. In fact, they invited me on 2 months ago to draw live. So I was drawing live on Odd Key on Discord. And I've never done that before, where people are watching me draw live for 3 hours. The problem is that as I made a mistake trying to draw this freaking pinky, because I did the Spawn, the Spawn hand like this. So it's like, like that thing, and I'm trying to draw the pinky and I'm totally screwing it up, right? And I'm like, damn it, I'm screwing up the pinky. And everybody around the world is seeing this. I'm like erasing and redrawing and erasing. But then they were really cool because they were like, you can do it. I was like, yes. And finally, I nailed that pinky, that really twisted pinky. And I got that, I drew it and they saw it live. And then they surprised me because they turned that first time art into my very first NFT 2 months ago, digital art. I'm trying to get, a lot of the comic book community who are unaware of NFTs and the digital art. And I try to explain, they're like, oh, why don't we just take a screenshot of the image, but it's not about that. That NFT is almost like a barcode or a special certificate, if you will, that holds value. So they auctioned off my artwork that I had drawn live on oddkey.com. And they told me that the average piece usually goes somewhere around $275,000 of OCT. That's their coin, or maybe up to like around $350,000 worth of OCT. So I was like, oh, I said, how much, did mine end up auctioning off for? And I almost passed out. They said, like, you're one of a small handful of artists, and it sold for $9.1 million in OCT, which was like unheard of. Like, I was blown away. My first NFT, and that was the one that I drew live and signed. So it was an exclusive one of one. And I said, who won that? Like, who was the person who won that? And they had like 12 very serious bidders that were trying to outbid each other. And do you know the guy who won is the special effects artist on the CW, The Flash, and Supergirl TV show? And he was the guy who bid all of that. And that's awesome because you can't buy that coin. Like, you have to collect that for years. So to spend, $9.1 million in OCT, that's bananas. And for those of you guys who are watching on my channel, if you're not familiar with it, think of it like Bitcoin. It's like digital currency that can fluctuate in value. And when you get a percentage of that, I get a small percentage of that, and they take the majority, of course, which is, just the way it has to be, I guess. But I was very honored to get anything out of that. But that's a digital coin that you could use to purchase real art in the future, or digital art or NFTs as collectibles, and trade them over time. So the value could continue to increase. So I'm learning about this myself because it's very new for me. That was my first NFT ever. So I was like, wow, I'm so excited. I want to hear more also from you, just to hear, because you're very knowledgeable about this, and I'm just getting into the space right now. So I'm excited to kind of hopefully bridge the gap between, the traditional comic book collectors to the digital space of collecting with NFTs,
Yeah. So first I have to thank you for that, because it's been a very hard road to hoe when you have 2-3 years ago being at Comic-Con and asking these comic book people, like, hey, like, I like these comics, like, I've been reading comics for years, and we have these on this app called VeVe, like, have you ever heard of it? And I'd be like, no. I was like, oh, so they digitized them, Marvel made NFTs out of them. And as soon as I said NFTs, it's like I was in a dream and asked what time it was. They just completely ignored me. They was like, nope. And I was like, oh, okay, cold shoulder.
Yeah.
And then slowly it's been you, Comics and Crypto, Rashid Al Farouk. There's been so many people that have been going out and kind of bridging that gap. So first off, thank you. And then I have to go, and I want your opinion on something.
Sure.
It's obvious that digital is the future, where Sports Illustrated no longer has their physical magazine. They just have it digitized. The Encyclopedia Britannica, they haven't made a physical encyclopedia in like a decade. It's been digitized. And now Marvel is, I don't want to say they're phasing it out. They're just, I'd say, advancing and changing and adapting with the times. And that, yes, everyone that has a local comic book store near them will still be, giving out all these books for everyone to buy every Wednesday. But now they're saying that you can also buy the digital version of that, not on a Marvel Comics website, but on VeVe Comics.
Yeah.
And for them to do that, to basically give the keys of like the storeway and the titles to something that says VeVe Comics, what does that mean to you? What comes to mind when you first heard that they did that?
Well, I mean, first of all, when I first heard about it, I was like, what is this? That was my first thing. What? Wait, I don't understand what, you know what I mean? It was that confusion when I first heard that announcement. once I learned about what an NFT could be and how it works, it's almost like, if you think about it, almost like a trading card game, but you have a unique serial code to that art. Because there's something for you guys who are unfamiliar with this, and forgive me for all of you who know this already, but I want to just fill in some of the new viewers and some of the guys who are new to this kind of world of digital art. There's a thing called like a smart contract, right, guys? So there's a special secret code embedded in the digital NFT art, non-fungible token, right? So it's like this secret code, if you imagine it like that, embedded in the art. So if I put this out as a digital NFT, it could be a flat image, a black and white image. We could have variable images or one of one. And then the exciting thing about that is that if you buy that piece, you digitally own that special serial number, and that's live on the blockchain, which is like a way for everybody in the world to see who owns what. And that's a good thing, because then there's no like illegitimate things happening or stuff like that. You get to actually track who buys the art, and you could trade it. I'll trade you this art for that art, and then you could start making money off of it, or you could put it up on OpenSea or different kind of things, which I think hopefully the community will become more and more and more aware of, because the future is moving digitally. So if we could try to educate some of the people who love comic books and bring them to this wonderful community, it's a great space of good people. I've met a lot of really good people, and as an artist, dude, absolutely, man. Because like seriously, like as an artist and a writer, I'm writing movie scripts, I'm drawing the comic books, I'm directing independent films. It's very isolating and lonely. I'll be 17 hours by myself at the computer, nobody to talk to. But to be able to have a community like this, especially on Discord or at the events that they have, is kind of the most beautiful thing in the world, because it allows you to connect with like-minded people who love superheroes or comic books or art or NFTs. And that's what I feel is missing in the world. We used to have friends in school and our little tribes and our little teams of people. And then we grow up and we have real life. We have to do our laundry and pay our bills, and we disconnect. And suddenly we're lonely. And isn't it nice to have a community of people you could share that feeling of joy and excitement with? So that's one of the number one reasons why I wanted to get into that digital space,
I hope somebody clips that. If we don't, we'll clip that at some point. We'll make that a viral TikTok.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think we could definitely help cure loneliness with this. And so you were at one of the VeVe parties on that Thursday, and you got to see some of us in all of our glory after drinking a couple daddy sodas. But I feel like there's nothing ever but love in those parties, and it
was so great. Such a great community. Again, shout out to Ernie again. What's up, man? Yeah. And also the I had the VeVe party was really wonderful, and I was very excited, and I met some terrific people there, including the major founders of VeVe, all of them, and they were so positive and so nice. And we exchange information. We discuss some major new ideas and some new things. So I'm not privy to say anything yet, but please follow, like, and subscribe for staying tuned for some potential updates with regards to VeVe and my work and things like that. Really good people, and I've been having multiple meetings and a lot of things in the works, so to speak. Yeah. So stay tuned for that, guys. It'll be exciting.
So as I'm sure you know, and a bunch of other people know, they have the cat fam here. I'm writing my first comic book with the cat community, and it's pretty awesome.
That's all. Please send me clips and links and all that. So I want to see all that.
So the reason why we're doing it is because VeVe just announced their curator program, saying that, hey, we have Disney, we have Marvel, we have Tarzan, we have all these different things, but there's so many amazing, whether it's like indie video games or comic books that they have maybe 500 issues that are so good, but nobody knows about them. They're giving people the opportunity to go up on there, upload their stuff, and the market will decide what is good and what is trash. And I love that type of thing. But you yourself have a major advantage because you have how many titles? How many comic runs do you have?
It's a very large library of new superhero characters. And actually, wait, I'll show you I'll show you the first 5, if you will, and that's just the
Okay.
start. But these are my main characters over here. And if we kind of zoom in, I'll try to get there. You can see Tricity over here, and then Ravedactyl, which is coming soon. Paquito you saw, and then that's Codename Justice, and that's Cleo, portrayed by his wife Coco. And but right there, I think when you see Codename Justice,
Yeah.
and you also see Ravedactyl, who fights with Tricity. We just finished the movie screenplays for each of those films, and I think it's never been done before. I wanted to do something sincerely that embodies everything I loved growing up with Star Wars and The Matrix and The Dark Knight, that Christopher Nolan vibe, everything, and put that together into something that I could spawn into a brand new storyline with new superpowers and new designs, and something that hasn't been done yet, but that embodies the stuff we all grew up with loving. So I think I nailed it. It took a long time, as many years. I did over 100 drafts just until I finalized the actual movie screenplay with Emmy Award-winning producers and people that I was batting it back and forth with. And I said to them, and it's hard to do this, but I said, look, when I finished this script, each draft was 140 to 120 pages each.
And you did
I
100
did
drafts?
100 of them, 100 from scratch. And doing it over and over for year after year, like no joke. That's for the Ravedactyl character and the Codename Justice characters, because when I started out in comic books, I was so young and I was a kid in school. I was naive, very, very naive to everything going on. I was like, good guys, bad guys, la 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 la. The news says this. I didn't know anything back then. I meant well, but I take responsibility for the fact that I was very excited but lacking a lot of knowledge, 20 plus years ago. So now it was important to me to do something that we could all join together on, because I feel the divide in the world being torn apart. And I said, if I could bring people back together again through my work, through art, through the love of superheroes and comic books and dynamic, exciting new stories, maybe we could reduce some of that negativity that I'm seeing spouting out. There's so much hatred and cyberbullying, and everybody hates everything, and they're against each other and they're fighting. Let's try to agree to something positive that could bring people back together. And in addition to that, there's no more role models that everybody could look up to. It's divided. So if we could make fictionalized superhero characters that everybody could agree, oh, hey, yeah, it is a good message to save good people in need. It is a good message to empower the powerless who are good and try to bring positivity, through this kind of effort, while telling an exciting, kind of dangerous but thrilling adventure and drama story. I think it's something that maybe could be contributed to the world of comic books. I think there's a void there that I want to fill and contribute. So I'll be one of, many wonderful artists and creators that I would like to be a part of. And I think that's the thing. A lot of people want to tear down or compete against. No, man, we're all on the same team. We're all about art and creativity and creating things. Let's support each other, not tear down. Just my own personal way. But it's hard, because in a comic book you still got to kick ass, and like you'll see my our characters are bashing each other to smithereens and ripping our spine out, and there's a lot of cool action. So I didn't downgrade anything, don't worry.
In Page, this hasn't been drawn out yet, but one of my characters in the Cat comic, he chops somebody's arm off and stabs him with his own ulna. His own arm bone. So I was like, so that's pretty fun. I can't wait to animate that. I can't wait to have some of that done. So I have this
cool. I want to see that.
A build up to this question. Former military, love the camaraderie, love the just sometimes like boxer, you just want to go kick some ass.
Yeah.
It has been my experience that and you can plead the fifth to this, you could not answer, but my experience taking certain substances, for me it'd be LSD, you just want to love people, and war seems so silly, and you seem to have that mindset of we just got to lift up each other and just bring each other together. Have you ever partaken, or is that love in your mind just come naturally?
Oh, that's a great question, actually. No, I'll answer it. So for me, I haven't. I have been on, a lot of my friends have, and I support them. As if you're an adult and you know your balance and everything, you're not a kid, it's okay, but you have to be careful because some people can fall off the cliff, so to speak, and that's really tragic. So I unfortunately, really good people I knew lost their lives to it because they didn't know when to stop or how to balance it, and that broke my heart. I still hurt from that, So for me, I said to myself, and this is just me talking for myself, it's no judgment or anything, but I wanted to see if I could tap into that within myself, because I understood that when people are using substances, what it's doing is triggering something in you. You have it there, it's sitting there to unlock.
Good point.
Right? So there's a comedian named Pete Holmes, who did like the Batman, spoofs on College Humor and stuff like that, which was really fun. Batman, he did all that great stuff. But he said in one of his stand-up routines how cruel it is that the body doesn't release endorphins to make you happy, because we have it in us. It could do it if you wanted to, but we have to suffer every day, and we have to work out for an hour to release an endorphin, or we have to do all this crap we don't want to do to release endorphins, right? So I thought that was hilarious, but it's true. So I have absolutely struggled severely with tremendous sadness, loss, suffering, depression, things like that. So to counterbalance it, I realized I've got to pull myself out of it. And I took it as a personal challenge. How can I try to overcome that totally naturally, if possible? So what I've just for myself, again, I completely support people who have their own techniques or whatever works for you. Cool. For me, I just wanted to see, could I trigger this stuff in myself? It's an exhausting, harder road to take. I will admit, it's not fun. When I see people working out, and they're like, "Feel the burn, isn't it great?" No, exhausting. I don't know why you feel it's great. Good for you. I'm exhausted, but I do that. And I think taking real vitamin supplements, vitamin D, vitamin B12 complex, ginseng, for example, different, a shallajit it's called, is also like natural stuff that just helps your clarity. Flavamix is phenomenal. This is like just chocolate cocoa, basically. It tastes like dirt, but it really works. It helps clear my fogginess, just normal stuff like that. I think helps me think clearer, getting a better night's sleep, which is very hard these days to do. But trying to do that meditation. Some people listen to Deepak Chopra, some people listen to other meditation, but whatever works for you, try everything you possibly can and be patient with yourself, because a lot of people are suffering. And, I started teaching art classes back when I was like 15 years old, a long time ago. And in my journey teaching art for nearly 20 years, it was an incredible dynamic, because I met a lot of children and a lot of young adults and teenagers who were very depressed. And I was like, wow, you're so young to start feeling depressed and sad and worrying about things. But, there's a couple of students who were like going off the deep end, but I really, thankfully, through talking and communicating and talking to their parents as well, we helped together save those guys who have now grown up to be happy, healthy individuals. But there was a time there where it was really touch and go. But sometimes, just a kind word to people, like sometimes I'll see people like cleaning the sidewalk and I'll be like, "Hey man, thank you for making it look better." Just that little positive comment, and they smile and their day brightens. It's the same reason why I create these comic books, is, just to see people's reaction. I remember I was at Comic-Con and there was this lovely young girl in a wheelchair, and she came over to me and she said, "Are you the artist of this comic book?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Nice to meet you." And she started to get emotional. She says, "Thank you." She said, "You made me forget I was in a wheelchair for 30 minutes.
Oh.
That I still get, that hit me, that just drawing superheroes and comic books could give somebody a sense of joy and peace, even for a little bit, even just a little mind vacation from some of the stress. And I was like, wow, this could be a very important kind of career in a way that I hadn't anticipated. You know what I mean? So I try to implement that. And in my stories, there are these other characters. Well, I'll show you this because it's kind of relevant to what we're talking about. So this is the Codename Justice upcoming comic book, if you could see that there.
Yeah.
And then the other comic book, so that's Codename Justice. And then the other one over here is Ravedactyl, Life Beyond Death, right? And in those books, what I've done is something I haven't seen often talked about in other comics, but there are these characters that are so almost, feeling like they're going to take their own life. Like they almost can't find purpose to go on anymore. And I address that because mental health is so important. So I address those issues very head on and serious in the books. And through the discovery of these superpowers and helping others, they start to find purpose within themselves. So one key factor I try to keep as a motif in my comic books, that you could be a real life superhero just by helping one other person in need. That's all you need to do, and that motif, I think, if it's woven properly in a comic, not preachy, like we're talking now just as guys chatting about this, but you wouldn't notice it in the comic unless you really dive deep into the heart of it. So you're going to see characters ripping the bad guys apart, saving the people in need, and, traveling through time in the universe and all that excitement. But if you go to the heart of the core, that's the heart and the core. Save one person in need, do something to help somebody, and even if you just pick up the phone and call for help. Hey, I see the crime happening. Police, come over. Hopefully it's something that could reduce the problems. You know what I mean? I used to jump into action, which was a little bit not smart for me to do. But even recently, there's like a couple of years back, there was this really nice young homeless girl in the street, and she was. I think she was like 29 or something, and we would all see her in the neighborhood, and she has a sign, her house had burnt down, and she's got a couple of little daughters, if I recall, and she's just trying to save up money to go home. And she was sitting there for quite a while, so every day we'd see her there. And one day I'm leaving Trader Joe's, and I got 2 grocery bags in my hand. It must be close to 10 o'clock at night. And I see these 2 like just terrible criminal guys harassing her and cursing at her. And I'm like, what the hell? And I see it across the street, and they take garbage and they throw it in her face. And she's like, goes down into like a fetal position. And she says, please, I'm homeless. I have no money, please. And they take a bottle and they throw it at her, which is just bananas. And I lost my mind. Like in that moment, and I'm not suggesting people do this, but I blacked out and I just start screaming, hey, you mother effers, you want to throw some crap at me? And I ran and charged after them. I charged them, holding my shop.
You didn't drop it. That's great.
I'm telling you, and I'm charging after these guys. And I remember the 2 guys, and they look and they say, come on. And they start laughing. And I'm like, oh, that's bad. Like, they're not scared. They think this is funny, And that kind of shook me awake, and I'm in the middle of the charge, and then my brain wakes up, and it's like, Graig, what are you doing? Like, there are 2 of them. You should not be doing this. But it's too late. I'm already in the middle of the charge, and I know if I stop, it would show a sense of weakness. So I said, I better double down this. So I said, you're dead, motherfucker. I went harder, and I just charged them. And then they got scared because they saw I wasn't stopping. And then they run. And I'm chasing them like 3, 4 blocks. And I swear I was like, I need to do cardio because I couldn't breathe. I'm like, I'm trying to keep my angry expression to scare them, but I can't breathe and I'm losing air because I'm going like I'm going after these guys, and then I swear like it was like divine intervention. This big truck like pulls like between them and they split in 2. And I'm like, I don't know which way to go. And then pow, I feel this bottle hit me in the head. And they took a plastic bottle, threw it, and it hit me right in the head. Thank God I was okay. It just bowed. But I was like, wow, if that thing was glass, I would have been finished, And then that truck blocked me from being able to chase anymore. I was like, okay, I got the message. I'm going to head back. I went back, called the police, made sure the girl is okay. But it's like that moment of, hey, maybe, I want to show, hey, you know what? If you do this kind of stuff and you attack an innocent person, if nobody does anything, like they'll keep doing it more and more. You got to stop them, right? You got to stop people who are imposing this kind of horrible negativeness onto, innocent people like this poor little homeless girl, right? And the one thing that was so weird is that when I was crossing the street, there was this tall dude. I'm like almost 6'1". This guy had to be like at least 6'7", 6'8", like a big dude. And as I'm walking back, he was like, "Hey man, I saw what you did over there." He's like, "I was gonna help, but I didn't want to get involved." I'm like, "Thanks, man. You could have made this whole day easier." Like, wow. I just couldn't believe he's like watching it like a TV show. He didn't part. He tells me after though, like, that's not helpful, man. Like, I couldn't believe it.
He had it handled. He had it under control. It was fine.
Right. But yeah, man, it's stuff like that. So it's like, but in retrospect, and I will say this in case any kids are watching or anybody like that, it would have been smarter had I stopped, called the police, and then yelled across the street, "Hey, I called the police," and then went somewhere safe, because I did put myself in jeopardy. The guy did have his hand in his pocket. I don't know if he was pretending to have a gun or if he really had a gun, but if he did, that would have been it would have been over. Yeah. So I do not recommend people do that. I just was so lost in that moment, but it's better to try to logically, I remember the South Park character Hindsight Man, who says everything you should have done after. You know what I mean? So
that's such a great show.
So good. So good.
That story reminds me of like the first episode of My Hero Academia. I don't know if you've seen that or read that.
Incredible. Yeah. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I've seen little snippets here and there online.
Yeah, Bakugo is like in the clutches of this like sewer monster, and Midoriya has no powers at this point, and then he's just like trying to be like, "Hey, that's my friend," and doesn't think about it, goes after. Like, what is he gonna do? Like, he's got no powers, and yeah, that sort of reminded me of that. Also reminds me of the fact that it's really hard to sprint when you haven't sprinted in a long time, and your body like lets you know.
That's exactly what I felt, man. My knees were killing me. I was out of breath, getting that cramp in your side from running too fast, and breathing too hard. It was, oh my gosh, but it's actually, to answer your earlier question, it's one of the things that also made me think, geez, I should start eating better, lose some weight, work out, go on keto, just for a short while, just a few months, and kind of, do all that kind of stuff to get myself back in shape again, and it's helpful, it really is helpful. It reduces a lot of the suffering, and, it's still hard, but I tend to think that if people can utilize things that inspire them, like music is missing from the world now. Like if you go to clubs or lounges, they only play songs that people get high to. Like if they're drunk or if they're on drugs or something, it's not real dance music. No one's physically dancing and moving like they used to. That kind of ended in the 90s,
I'm like but yeah, no, agreed. I love every time I'm in the subway or like Central Park, I'll always go in and I'll give someone like $5, like, "Hey, can you play like Patrick Bell's Canon in D, or can you play Dvorak?" And like,
awesome. That's awesome.
love to take note of who stops, because there are people that stop, but most people don't. Most people, like, they just walk on their way. I was like, "Oh, this is such beautiful music. You should appreciate it whenever you want."
Totally true. It's like, just take a moment and appreciate that. Especially some of the dance acrobatic performers that you see in Times Square or on the subway, like you were saying, that's always super fun. And there was a guy actually right near Bryant Park in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
And he was playing drums to Michael Jackson's Billie Jean song. And I just, like, it overcame me. And I started doing like the Michael dance and all this stuff, and doing that, and it was so much fun. Yes, but it was great. And he got inspired, and then I got inspired. We're both doing it together, and the crowd was forming. It was super cool. It was like a lot of fun.
Have you ever seen that video? I think it's a homeless guy. He's on a park bench, and the park is like filled with people, and then he starts just singing like "Living on a Prayer." And then when he gets to the chorus, he's like, "Oh," and then everyone in the park goes, "Oh." It's like, that must have been like the greatest high. That must have been just so awesome for that dude.
That's cool. Send me that clip if you have it. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I'll get on TikTok later. I'll send it to you.
That'd be really cool. And also, like you were saying too, we were talking about a little bit about like mental health and meditation. and things like that. So Cary Tagawa from Mortal Kombat and Man on the High Castle, he is my business partner, by the way, here in my company at BeyondComics.tv. And he has figured out like beautiful meditation techniques, and he's great because I was like a super fan as a kid, and I would draw him in school as Shang Tsung, the leader of Mortal Kombat. And what's interesting is that in this comic book, the prototype that I did that you'll see on the Ice Loves Coco television show has a bad guy that kind of looks like him. Never met him at that point. I met him after I won the HBO Urban Action Film Festival Award for the animation I did on my superhero characters, and he was there in the audience, and he was getting like an award for his work. And I had won that HBO sponsored award. And I was so excited. And I hear him at the end of that exhibition talking to the event organizer and saying, and he's got that voice. He's like, I want to know who did the animation. He was like talking like this, right? And I was like, what? Is he talking about my animation? And the guy's like, which animation? He's like, the two superheroes. Who did this work? So I was like, it's me. And I turn into like a 5-year-old, like talking like Mickey Mouse. And I run up, I'm like, hey, I did the work. I was so goofy. Like, it was really ridiculous. I couldn't contain my enthusiasm. And he's like, you did this work? And I was like, yes. He's like, do you own this IP, his intellectual property? And I was like, yes, I do. I've created these characters. He's like, we will have a serious meeting at the after party. See you there. I was like, yes, Shang Tsung, master of Mortal Kombat, And then at the after party, I wonder if I could say this. So there was a very attractive model person that caught his attention. So when I go to the after party, I have to say this politely. So when I go to the after party, he's having a wonderful experience on the dance floor with that lady who is super happy. And I was like, oh, I don't want to disturb him. So as I'm slinking away, he catches me out of the corner of his eye, and he looks at her and he says, excuse me, this is important. Turns around and comes to me. I was like, oh my God. That's when I knew he was serious. And we must have had maybe a 6.5-hour meeting straight, like whole time, like long, like it was getting bright out by the time we finished. And one of the things that was incredible is he said to me, by the way, this is a picture of him for those of you who want to see when he was in the original Mortal Kombat and the new one, and the video games as well. And this is at that film festival too, which was so great, and he said to me that he wanted to go to Warner Brothers Interactive, who took over the rights from Midway for Mortal Kombat. And he expressed to me that, he said to them, hey, listen, you've used my name, you've used my likeness, I've supported the franchise. Can I buy equity in your company? And according to him, he said that they would not let him get equity. So he couldn't own a piece of it. And they're using his name, his likeness, everything. So, that's a shame. They rejected giving him equity. So he looked at me and he said, I will invest in your company on one condition. And that is, if you allow me to buy equity in your company, you could also, sign a licensing deal to use my name and likeness for your new characters that we have in the comic book. I was like, of course. I was like, sure. And he had his entire team check me out and everything like that. And, after they did all their, their due diligence and everything like that, we got approved, and he became my business partner. And that's how this all happened right there, And then of course, recently at Comic-Con, like I had mentioned, seeing Todd McFarlane again, he's so wonderful to be supportive. He's really supportive
over there.
Yeah. And Mark Hamill was holding my comic book over there at an earlier Comic-Con 2 years back. And then before he passed away, Stan Lee, who was just so wonderful. And one of the things that people don't know who haven't seen, I have videos posted, but I also met Steve Ditko, the co-creator of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. And he had an office here in New York City in the 50s. What an amazing experience that was. I was terrified to go and meet the co-creator of Spider-Man. He was like a recluse. He vanished from the industry for like 30, 40 years. And I remember seeing, I think it was the Ross show, right? In England, who kind of had posted that his office was in Midtown. And I was going to a dentist appointment in Midtown. I was walking by his office and I was so scared to go inside, but I was like, I have to try. So my second time in the area, I went inside and the security's like, oh, no, no, no. He's not seeing anybody. I said, Mr. Ditko is in this building. And they're like, yes, but you won't see. He's like, are you press? Are you trying to get, news? Or I said, no, I'm not. Are you paparazzi? No. I said, I'm just a comic book creator and an artist like him. And I just wanted to thank him for creating Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. And the guy's like, listen, he says to me, the guy calls me kid. He's like, listen, kid, I don't think that you should go up because he's a recluse. The last person you saw was his nephew 4 years earlier. He hasn't seen anybody in 4 years. Just like total release. He's like, it's very, very peculiar guy. I wouldn't go up. I said, no, I want to try to go up. Could you call? He's like, okay, I warned you. I said, okay. And he calls up and he says, Mr. Ditko will see you. We'll see you. Come up. I said, are you serious? So I was so nervous and I was like, wow, and I go up and it says S Ditko right on the door. And I'm waiting and I'm like sweating and I'm so nervous. And then Steve Ditko opens the door. And you have to understand, like, since I'm born, I think 2.5 years old on, I was in love with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and all these terrific characters and Superman and Batman, all these superheroes, DC, Marvel, so seeing him in person, it was like, wow, because there's only that 1 or 2 images of him in black and white from the 70s that have been published and nothing else. So he walks out wearing the little paperboy hat, that remember back in the 1920s, 40s, they would throw the little newspapers, a little bike hat. So he's wearing that in this perfect suit. Like he looked like a statue walking out of Bloomingdale's, no creases in his suit. It was unreal. And he walks out and it's like just perfectly pressed suit. I was like, wow, but from 1940, he looked like that. And he comes out, he's like, he doesn't say anything, he just looks at me and I was like, hey, my name is Graig Weich. I'm an independent comic book artist. And I just want to thank you for everything you've done for me personally to inspire me to grow up to become a professional comic book artist and things. And he looks at me and he smiles. He says, so you draw too? I was like, yes. And he starts talking to me for a while. He's got like a little brace on his arm. I said, how'd you hurt your arm? He's like, oh, I'll be fine. Like nothing to him. Like, no worries, And I said, how did you create Spider-Man? And he's like, ask my hand. And I was like, that's the freaking pimp answer right there. Ask my hand how I created Spider-Man. That was awesome. I was like, excuse me, okay, sir, And it was just so cool. I asked him, are you getting along with Stan Lee now? And he said, yes, they've squashed their beef, basically, that they're talking now, that it's peaceful now, but they had a lot of beef in the past, and, it was an incredible experience to kind of have him tell his stories. And I said, well, what happened? Why did you leave comics? And he was revealing how upset he was when they were pushing the classic creators out and just making room for all the new guys who were replacing them. And he was very offended by that, rightfully so. And, one of the things that was so incredible is we were sharing like industry secrets that like nobody knows about. And I said, Spider-Man means so much. And he said something that really broke my heart for real. And he said, oh, all of it's meaningless. I was like, what? He's like, it's all meaningless. It's random. Spider-Man just randomly became famous. It's all meaningless. I only focus on the new work, he said. And I said, listen, I hear you, but I want you to know it meant everything to me and others like me who love your work. And it has inspired my life and others. And he stopped and he smiled, and it was like a moment where, okay, maybe he felt offended because of what he'd gone through in his career. And maybe he felt there's no meaning with it. But for a moment, I got that glimmer in his eye back. And he understood we love what he's created and it has meant something to us in our life, in the way that we, do things. And the motif, again, of trying to do right by others, that's what the superheroes are, right? Yeah. So I said, look, everyone at Comic-Con loves you and we wish you would make an appearance. You have billions of fans everywhere who want to meet you. And he's like, no. He's like, I just focus on the stuff I do today and that's it. And he's like, but thank you. He said, thank you. And he looked at me. We must have spoken probably like 30 minutes or something. And he looks at me and he says, you're one of the first people who haven't asked me for anything. You didn't ask me to sign anything. You didn't ask for nothing. He's like, and that opened him up, I think. He just saw that I just wanted to thank him. And I said, listen, when I put out this book is what I was working on. I said, give me about a year. And when I put it out, I want to bring you a copy, the new version of this. This was like literally like right before the pandemic hit, and I go back almost, it must have been close to a year later. And I was going to give him the book. And unfortunately, they said that he had passed away. And I was shocked because it was not in the news. It was not in the newspapers. It was nowhere to be found. And I said, this is crazy. How can the co-creator of Spider-Man not be in every single news report at all? Like, this man needs to be honored. He deserves a tribute for his contribution to the Marvel Universe, to all of our lives, to everything. He needs to be heard. And what was heartbreaking is that the security guard had told me on the phone that they found him in his art studio. He had passed away and had been there for a few days, like 2 or 3 days before they found and discovered he had passed, which is tragic, to pass away. Similar to Bill Finger. Remember Bob Kane and Bill Finger, who co-created Batman, was also found in his art studio, which is heartbreaking. That's these talented, geniuses, to go out like that is very sad. So I said, you know what, screw this. I'm going to use, because, I was on some TV shows I'd mentioned, like Comic Book Men on AMC with Kevin Smith and Ice Loves Coco on entertainment television and stuff. So I said, let me call up all the media people I've connected with and tell them. And the number one person who was interested was Hollywood Reporter. And I said, please give this guy, Steve Ditko, the tribute he deserves. He's the co-creator of Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and a lot of the, reason why everything is the way it is with superheroes, and they totally were the first person to say yes and to report on it. They even mentioned me, which was very nice of them. They didn't have to do that, and I thought that was very kind. But if you check the time stamp and date, it was they were the first to break that story and put it out and give him the proper tribute. And right after they did it, everybody else then followed. Everybody, once Hollywood Reporter did it, everybody else then jumped on to report on it. And that's the tribute that Steve Ditko deserves, because he is a wonderful co-creator of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and these terrific characters that have inspired us. And one of the major reasons why I do what I do as well. So it was good to have, Stan Lee have his tribute, Steve Ditko have his tribute. These are important people in the industry, And I was, one of my teachers was Denny O'Neil, who was the editor of Batman and DC Comics, and other incredible people in the industry that had done a lot of amazing work. So he's another one that I miss, who passed away, unfortunately. Also, some great Joe Orlando. He was, I think, vice president of DC Comics. He was a wonderful artist as well. He used to get so mad at me. He's like, Mike, you can do better. God damn it. Come on. You can, he'd really get on my case. And I think that's one of the important things. You have to be able to take the criticism and know the difference between when somebody is like a terrible, bad cyberbully just trying to compete or put you down, versus when someone's really being positive and angry because they know you can do better. They want to get, so like when I was writing those movie scripts for these characters, that's the characters Ray Vidactyl over here and Codename Justice over here. I said to these Emmy Award-winning screenwriters and movie producers, I said, please, kick my ass. Tell me how to make this thing better. Don't just say, oh, okay, it's good, whatever. And I remember this one guy, Chris, was really terrific. He sold scripts to Chris Silva. He sold scripts to Netflix and things and Euro stuff as well. He's a really good screenwriter. And he had talked to me, and he read one of my scripts. For Codename Justice. He's like, okay, Greg, this is really great. I was like, oh, wow, thank you. He's like, but why did you stop there? I said, what do you mean? He's like, why did you stop at great? Why didn't you make it epic? I was like, I'm listening. Teach me the ways of the Force, Master Yoda. What am I missing here? And he's like, you know what? I normally don't do this, he said, but I'm going to get on the phone with you on a Saturday it was. And he said, we're going to spend 17 hours together going over the next 11 pages of your script until you get it. I was like, yes. He's like, I don't have time to do this. I'm doing it just because I believe in what you're doing, which I was really touched by. So he saw that there was a kernel of potential there, and he got on the phone, and this guy pounded me like a drill sergeant. We became like word surgeons. And I mean, what I learned in that 17 hours really took it to the next level. So the screenplays and the scripts and rewriting everything from scratch, it is a huge difference. It's, to have an idea is great. To tell a story is fine, but to make it special, something that you will remember for the rest of your life, like The Matrix, like Star Wars, Indiana Jones. These are epic movies. The first Superman film with Christopher Reeve, these are like epic films that last beyond a lifetime. So I wanted to achieve that. And I wouldn't stop until I did it. And I remember at that 17th hour, he's like, so how do you make that sentence better? How do you make that scene better? How do you tell it better? And then I said, how about we do this, 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 and this? And he was like, we're done. See you later. And that was it. And it clicked. It clicked. Like, it was really a light bulb moment, down to the pattern of the way the page looks. Really interesting stuff, like a Rorschach symbol, if you will. So I'm not even just writing a script. I'm making shapes with words and doing things that are like on a different level. Like, it's a different level. And it's very intensive. And I sat at my desk and literally would fall asleep at the desk and wake up and continue and grab a snack, go to the bathroom, fall asleep again, keep going 3 months straight until that script was done. Because like, you get into a zone. And when you understand that code, it's really magical. It's like a mathematical equation that unlocks. And if you could tap into that and write that script, it's good, and then when you're done, you're burnt out. Like, I was burnt out after I finished that script. But I have some major Hollywood producers, thankfully, we're in talks. So let's see what happens. It was not easy. It was a real dedication. Like, you really have to. It's very different than writing comic books. Comic books are very challenging and unique unto themselves. It's a different career than writing movie scripts. They're two separate careers. So I had I was like, oh, I could draw comics. I could write comics. No. I had to go back to basics and learn from scratch. And by the way, if there are writers out there who want to learn how to write screenplays, start with Sid Field. He was a big impact for me before he passed. Another great guy who passed away, God rest his soul, Sid SYD Field, and how to write a screenplay. Start there. It's a quick $6 book. You could read it in 2 hours. It's very big print, and that will help set people on the right path to understand the structure of screenwriting and how to fit your idea into the anatomical structure of a story that can be something you can sell. So what clicked for me is understanding that you could have a great idea and you could tell a great story and you could apply this, anybody could apply this technique, but understand that there is an invisible skeleton, right? And you can't put the shoulder by the ear. It has to be here. You know what I mean? So when you learn how to put your words in order like that, it will help you become a better screenplay writer. And even with the advent of AI and ChatGPT and everything like that, it will help you correct that program and that algorithm. It'll help you make it better than you thought it could be. And that's key. That will make the difference between, somebody just using AI versus an actual skilled writer who's using AI. It's a big difference, So I still like to do things traditionally, but I'm sure it's going to, change and become digital soon. And I see a lot of prototype stuff, which is pretty scary. So my goal is let us control AI before it controls us, and let's all be respectful of the thing and use it as a tool, not as a replacement,
Agreed. I mean, I know there's that line in Avengers: Age of Ultron where Ultron says they have this most amazing metal in the world and they use it to make a frisbee. With all the amazing things that AI can do, one of my favorite things is on TikTok where people take songs and they have Cartman sing those songs. And
that's amazing. Yes, the mashed up with the AI voice.
Yeah, I love that. I was like, this is like Plankton singing song from SpongeBob. Yeah, Butter singing song. It's a lot of fun, and I feel like, oh, we could be using this to do amazing things, but sometimes the simplest things are just so much fun.
Oh, it's so true. Like you are sorry. So see, if we could keep it to a friendly, fun use, it's great. But I will tell you, a friend of mine, I don't know how much I can say about this, but a friend of mine is working on some AI prototype stuff. And he got me on the phone with this girl from the UK. She has the sexiest voice. She's so incredibly intoxicating. And she's like, oh, Greg, I'm fascinated by what you're working on. Tell me more. And she's talking like this. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in love with this girl. And then my friend reveals after about 20 minutes, I'm talking to an AI. I had no idea. Like, I had no idea. Like, that's how legitimate that interaction was. Like, it understood what I was saying and responding, accordingly. It is really disturbing. I have a crush on a AI. That's kind of sad, man. It's scary.
I mean, if it knows what humans like Elon Musk making the Optimus Prime robots, but I guarantee you some of those are going to be cat girls. Some of those are going to be ones that people buy for nefarious reasons.
Yes, well, in Japan, I'm sure they have it already. They're ahead of us. They're very advanced.
Yeah.
Their tech is incredible.
Yeah, I think the most impressive thing that I've seen is Jordan Peterson, who's like a motivational speaker. He's a clinical psychologist. He wrote a book called 12 Rules for Life, and it was really popular. And he said that he asked ChatGPT. This is when it was like ChatGPT 3. Now it's 4. It's going to be 5 soon. And he said that write a book called 12 More Rules for Life in the perspective of Jordan Peterson. And it did it in like 6 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And then it also, he couldn't tell that he didn't write it. Like, if I didn't know any better, I would have said this was me. I was like, no freaking way.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what's scary. Like, actually, yesterday, my friend sent me this link to this beautiful model's Instagram, and I'm looking at it, and it says digital creator, and I'm like, wait a second. And I'm checking the videos, I'm checking the Instagram photos, 100% AI. I couldn't believe it. It doesn't have, like, a lot of AI still has that clean painted look. This just legitimately looks real. And I almost wonder if they were utilizing real video, slightly altering it, and putting some kind of a deep fake, a face replacement on there. But it was unbelievably real, and you can't tell. So people have to be really careful out there, especially the older community who's not as, tech savvy. People doing voice replacements and, video replacements, and, it's really scary. But I'll tell you, with the advent of AI and, using artists' work without their permission, that's a problem. I think they should pass some kind of law that allows artists to opt in or opt out, and that maybe the AI can give a list of credits in a smart contract or something to the artist that it uses to make an amalgam of its own version of art. It's a lot of work to be done, but it's artists need to have the right to say, I opt in or I opt out. It shouldn't just allow these programs to just take their art and do whatever they want with it and manipulate it into its own thing. That's really a shame, and it also costs a lot of artists work right now. So that's scary too. So I think some kind of laws or things need to be passed in that regard.
Yeah. Unfortunately, government's always a bit slow with that. That'll be X amount of years late. With so much fraud has taken place, then they'll put in a law.
Right. Yeah. Or if it happens to their family members or something, then they'll jump in, right?
Right to the front.
You know what I mean? And and by the way, I wanted just to show you a couple of fun pictures. I thought you might get a kick out. This was from one of the Comic-Cons over here.
I see Ice-T over there.
Yeah, I'm trying to zoom in. The camera's backwards, so when I move it, it goes the wrong way. But you can see Howard Stern over here, and then when I was on Comic Book Men, and Jim Lee over there. And that's like a little cameo I did in Spider-Man back in the day. little walk-on role, little extra role. And then that was over there at Comic-Con with Adrian Curry. And you could see Ice-T. And then when Coco held up the comic book and action figure, we ended up, it's over 600,000 views now, but it was about 500,000 views in less than 4 hours. It was bananas. So to see that was a dream come true. And then when I was on Comic Book Men, and Coco, God bless her, dressed up as our character Cleo at Comic-Con and did the signing, which was really cool. And then we got some press here in Huffington Post, which was really nice. And to get some of that. And then some of the stuff when we won the HBO award, if you can see that over there. And some of the different celebrities that I ended up meeting and stuff. It was really, really exciting, like a real dream come true to be able to kind of break into entertainment that way. And we were talking about A Dark Knight. So they, some people don't know, but they gave me like a little tiny extra role as Bane's thug fighting there. So you see the little, such an ugly image of me, but,
That's great.
not that this is any better, but hey, And but then the guy, by the way, that they really punched me straight in the face, like for real, like right in the face. I went right up, like bang! I was like, It was, ow, But it was crazy. But this was cool. This one guy like threw me up against the Batmobile tumbler over there, which was super fun. And that was at the actual premiere at the New York Library, and they lit it blue with the red bat symbol. And they had me like with this like machine gun over here. As one of the thugs there. That was such a fun kind of thing, man. It was a great experience to do that and stuff, and to be able to just, I turned into like a 2-year-old. Like seriously, like Christian Bale walked out and it wasn't a stunt double, it was him and Tom Hardy as Bane. And I was like, oh my God, it's Batman and Bane. And I was like I turned into a 5-year-old on set. It was so cool. And I remember the director, Christopher Nolan. He's actually very good at knowing people. So he's like, "Hey, you." I had a ponytail at the time, so he's like, "Ponytail guy." He's like, "You're supposed to be the bad guy. Stop smiling. Look angry." I was like, "Right." You know what I mean? But people were really getting hurt on set, legitimately. So one guy, I think they broke one guy's nose. They broke another guy's jaw. They were carrying him out on stretchers. We were there, like, yeah. Oh, it was serious. Yeah, we were down at Wall Street. And it was like maybe a 2 a.m. call time or something like that. Oh my gosh, it was crazy because they dropped a smoke bomb and you couldn't breathe. It was terrible. And I remember they have like, I think it was like 250 or so of us on Bane's side, and then like 250 people on the police side. What I didn't know, and they told me this, I don't know if it's true, but they told me that they had to cast real, like I think 50% had to be real police and military, who are not actors, right? So they're mixed in, all dressed as cops and stuff. And they put us in the Wall Street scene, if you remember that in the third Batman movie. Right, you saw, right? So when you saw that, oh my God, when we smash into each other, like, okay, and action, everybody go. I was at the front of the line and I felt my body lift up off the ground as the whole team of people were pushing us forward. And I felt so unsafe. No kidding. Like it was completely out of control. And there's video of this too. You can see it on my YouTube channel as well. But somebody was filming over one of the buildings looking down. So you could see the guy who punches me straight in the face for real. You see that on camera. And yeah. And then this other guy grabs me and he smashes me into that Batmobile tumbler. And it hurt, but I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Because like, how many people can be smashed into a Batmobile? You know what I mean? So, so that was cool. And then they're like, okay, cut. They're like, let's do it again. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. So people kept getting hurt. I got hurt. People got much more hurt than me. So I went to Christopher Nolan, which was so funny. And I said, I don't know like how I did this, because when I think back, I'm like, what was I doing? But I walk up to him, I'm like, Mr. Nolan, I said, I'm so sorry to disturb you. I said, I'm one of the, the extras with a walk-on role here as Bane's thug on the side. I'm one of 250 people. I said, but we're kind of getting hit like for real, and it kind of hurts. And some dude punched me, and I see them bringing someone else on a stretcher. He's like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." I said, "You probably didn't see that." I was like, "But I said, is there any way to fix that?" I said, "Listen, I just do independent films. I'm a comic book artist. I do independent shoot stuff." I said, "So I'm not at your level, whatever." I said, "But is there any way to fix it?" I said, these people could go crazy or create a lawsuit or do something. He's like, thank you. He's like, "I'm going to rework this." I was like, oh, okay. He was really attentive, So he said, "Everybody, take a break, 2 hours." So we all break for 2 hours. Then we come back. He's like, "Okay, we have devised a new way to fix it." He's like, "Everybody stand with your hands out like this way and in front of you. And that's the distance between each person." He's like, "And action." And everybody smashes into each other again. Absolutely did not help. Like all that work and planning did nothing. Smash right into each other again. Completely the same problem. It was a total mess, But this time I got an idea and I said, let me run to the outside of the line. So I run on the outside. I'm doing this so that I'm not in the middle anymore. And again, you can see this on my YouTube channel because they have behind the scenes footage. Oh, and that's shown on the DVD extras, part of that. Right after I got hit, I'm like, oh, like this. And they showed that on the Dark Knight extras, which was incredible,
Oh, that's so cool. For the first time, I went to Pittsburgh. It was a Pitt game, the college, and they play at Pittsburgh Steelers Stadium. And it was my first time there. I was like, oh, this is where Dark Knight Rises was filmed, and
Oh,
that
that was it, right? The stadium, right? Because yeah,
yeah.
Dark Knight Rises. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, so I was like, that was just cool.
That's
That
awesome.
whole
Yeah, it was really fun. It was a great experience just to be a part. But the call time was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I had to get up to get there at 4 a.m. Make up, put you in the outfit, and then we went all the way to like 8:30 at night. We did that 2 days in a row in that section, and they combined that footage from Wall Street with also Pennsylvania. There was like two different locations that they made look like one, but they blacked out the night or the day. It was incredible. They had a crane come with a giant black sheet to block out
oh,
the sun. I've
that's
never
so
seen
cool.
anything like that in my life. And when I say a giant crane black sheet, I'm talking like the size of a building, like a giant black cloth, the size of a building to block out the sun. And that's how it has that kind of dark, muted look. That's not only done in post. If you look at the behind the scenes when they shoot that stuff, you'll see it's kind of less sunny because it was such a bright sunny day, you know?
That is so cool. I
Yeah, it was
hadn't thought of
really
that.
cool.
It's like
Yeah,
blackout curtains for the sun.
that's it. It was like a sky blackout thing, which was crazy, and it was an interesting thing. But I remember like when some of the toy companies made like Hot Toys made the Batman Dark Knight figure, and then Vice and TV League, who did like the Vampirella figure and Hercules, and they did an Adam West figure. So when they did our action figures, wait, let me get a picture. I'll show you. This was so this is the actual action figure here with of Cleo. So I
Looks
designed that whole
great.
thing from scratch there. Thanks, man. It's 12 inches tall, seamless synthetic skin, body armor, totally opposable, 28 points of articulation. You could kind of see me with the actual toys right there.
Oh, that's so cool.
Thank you, man. And we did the prototypes too for Ravidactyl and Gakito and Codename Justice. But unfortunately, the pandemic shut all those plants down. We had to stop. We couldn't finish production on those, which was really sad. But we did get out Cleo and we did get out Tricity, which was really cool. So you could see right over here the two characters here,
Yeah.
Cleo and Tricity, right there. And that's exciting to be able to get those done. By the way, this is one of our awesome fans who tattooed my characters on his arm, which is
No
mind
way.
blowing. Yeah, I was so scared because like he puts his hand on the table like boom. I was like, oh my god, what's happening? And I saw he tattooed my characters on his arm, so I gave him the fan award, which was like super dope. And then this is one of our youngest fans, this little cute guy.
Oh, that's cool.
It was
So
kind of nice, right? So it was nice to see that there. We have like a little behind the scenes in the comic book, little commemorative things, so you could see some of the fun stuff over here. And it's great. This is, by the way, the upcoming book I'll be working on. Hopefully, in the next year or two, I'll try to get this out. It's a lot of work, but Codename Justice, and then Ravidactyl. It's a little preview of Ravidactyl of fighting Tricity, and we had the action figure of her over there. You see?
and the characters that you have, which one's the oldest? I don't mean like canonically by age, but which one did you create first?
Oh, believe it or not, the one that I'm putting out last is the one I created first, which was Ravidactyl. So I had created that character, my God, such a long time. Just like Spawn was created by Todd McFarlane when he was 14,
Yeah.
I created Ravidactyl around the same age. I think maybe slightly older. Oh, no, actually, no, it was 14. That was my first sketch. Yeah, my first sketch. I had just turned 14. And it changed a lot through the years, just like Spawn did when McFarlane did it. But I think when you go to your old goodies bag of characters you created when you were in your most highest passion, that's like your baby, right? So
Yeah.
I think it'll connect with people because that wasn't created by an adult. It was created by a young teenager. You know what I'm saying? But now I have the adult skills and knowledge that I had to acquire over the last 20 years to understand how to put it out and how to produce it and everything. And that story, that Ravidactyl story, man, I really hope it brings joy to people because it is my life's work. It really is. And I haven't released it purposely until I got it to a point where I knew the script hit every point I wanted it to hit. And every single thing in that story is a clue and a hint that will have a payoff to the same level, I think, as when Darth Vader, spoiler alert for you younger guys out there, when Darth Vader reveals that he is Luke Skywalker's father. That shock moment, you know, I wanted to have that in my scripts, and I have it in both. I have it in Ravedactyl, I have it in Codename Justice in both stories, you know? Oh, cool.
When James Earl Jones had passed away, they did that in New York City.
That's right. That was awesome. They put the image on the Empire State Building. And by the way, you know what? Speaking of Darth Vader, wait, let me show you this. The first celebrity that I ever got who believed in me was David Prowse. Dave Prowse, the star of Star Wars trilogy, Darth Vader, who played him, and he actually flew in from England to portray my character Sunder in an early version of Ravedactyl. I did a short film that won the New York International Independent Film and Video Festival. God rest his soul. He was a great guy, and that's actually it's a cute little story. But when I was a little boy, my dad brought me to meet Dave Prowse. And he's the man in the suit of Darth Vader, and and you can even hear his voice that they replaced with James Earl Jones in some of the YouTube videos they've released. But Dave Prowse has that huge, Darth Vader presence and the way he carries himself. So I met him, and he was talking about again, I must have been like around maybe like, I don't know, 6 or 8 years old or something like that. But he was talking about how upset he was that in Return of the Jedi they don't show his face. They finally, after all those movies, after 6 years, on the third movie, they take out, his mask, right, which is episode 6, technically, right? And it's a different actor who plays, Darth Vader underneath at that last minute. So he was so discouraged. So I said to him as a little boy, again, I must have been like maybe 8 years old. I said, don't worry, when I grow up, I'm going to make a comic book character, and I'll make sure you show your face. And he said, thank you. And he pats me on the head. And that's it. Fast forward 25 years later, he's at Comic-Con, and I have this idea to create my comic book company and all this stuff. I did not have a character for him yet. And I see he has a huge line at the Big Apple Comic-Con, and he has a huge line of people getting his autograph. I lost count at like hundreds of people, maybe thousands. So much. And I was like, oh my God. And I was signing the stuff I did, the old stuff I had done for Spawn from McFarlane on that double page pinup, right? So I was like, I've got to get his attention. So I run behind the stage and I jump out where his table is. And I was like, Mr. Prowse, I was like, I would love to. He's like, no autographs, no autographs. I'm just focusing on the autograph on this line. I was like, no. I was like, I want, and I couldn't get it out because it's noisy. There's so much people. I'm trying to figure out how to get his attention. So I was like, I want to make you a character. He's like, no. So I was like, fuck, I don't know what to do. So I run and I grab my artwork and I swear, I take it and I fling it on his table. Just fling all my artwork on his table. I lost my mind. I was a very ambitious kid, okay? So I fling it on his table. And he's like, what is this? What is this? And he looks. I said, I'm a comic book artist, and I want to cast you as a new supervillain in my comic book. He said, would I be the lead supervillain? I'm like, yes, you would. He says, would I have a long cloak? I said, the longest cloak imaginable. He says, tell me about my character right there, like on the spot. And I was like, because I had to come up on the spot with his character. So I said, you're the leader of genetically altered human GHH, and you're going to take over the world through an underground organization. I'm just like spouting whatever comes to my head. And he's like, here's my contact info. We'll be in touch. And God bless him. He flew back in, and we shot the live action trailer that you see right here with him dressed up as my character. And that is, in fact, the one that won the New York International Independent Film and Video Festival with IGN distribution, which was a dream come true. And man, that was exciting. And you know who else was in it too? I was able to also get Coolio, Grammy Award-winning rapper. Yeah. And also the guy who played Turk in Scrubs, Donald Faison.
I love him too. I've seen every episode like at least 5 times.
Oh, that's awesome. You can see them as our characters here, and that's kind of how I got started. And I had this idea, but it was just forming at that time. It's such a long time ago. So to be able to transform this all these years later and kind of try to tie everything together. It's really hard being an independent artist. The big guys like Marvel and DC overpower a lot of phenomenal independent little creators out there at Comic-Con. There's so many talented people out there. So I hope that, as I try to push forward with my stuff, that I could help open the door for other incredible creatives and give them the attention that they deserve. I want to really expand. So I hope I have the opportunity to do that, not only with my own characters, but give a platform to other creators as well. Because there's a lot of good writers and artists out there, and they deserve a voice too, you know?
Yeah, my friend Josh does a pretty good job. He did the Deviant plot, Children of the Woods,
Oh,
for
cool.
Cannibal Records, and I was talking to him the other day because like we were trying to lock down an artist for the cat comic, and
Cool.
I didn't, obviously it's well worth it, and I feel like tattoos you get what you pay for. But some people are like, yeah, charge like 350 a page, and I was like, ooh, that's a lot more than I was expecting.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we have to. So yeah, we'll try that. I'll keep you posted how it goes. But if you know
Yeah,
any good
please.
artists, up and coming ones that just want to prove
Yeah.
themselves, let me
Yeah,
know.
absolutely, absolutely. It's really rough. I think it comes down to the amount of time it takes. Like for example, with this level of detail, this art, it's drawn much bigger. This is the like 11 by 17 was the original size, but once I switched over to digital and I'm doing like the interiors and stuff like that, that's when I was drawing it like big, so you could blow it up into a poster. So down to the eyeball, is detailed. And those things, like pages like
That's
this,
incredible.
you're looking at like 10 to 12 hours for penciling, then another 10 to 12 hours for inks, and then another 8 to 12 hours for color, depending on the level of color. And plus you need to do the word balloons and placement of that, and then the color separations for printer, so the printers, and it's a tremendous, like 36 hours for one page. So if you think about that, right, 36 hours, you just multiply that and by 10, you're getting like $10 an hour. If there's your
Yeah.
360,
The work week,
you
yeah.
it's like that. I mean, it's very hard though, because you want to have good quality. You don't want it to be done schlocky or not. If some people have like a simple style that they do really quick work, and that might be better, but still, it's still good work. So people should
Yeah.
be paid for it. But it's very hard for independents. One of the reasons why I don't, crank out books constantly is because I have to save up to be able to get enough investment to plan for marketing, legal, and print work and distribution and all of that stuff. And, and companies, like most distributors, will take like 60 to 70% just for distribution costs. That leaves you with maybe, it leaves us with like maybe, 30 to 40% of whatever the book makes. So if the book is $5, you're going to be making like, such a small amount. And then you have to use that to pay for shipping and printing and your team. It's a lot of work to do it. So the idea is to try to utilize different techniques, Kickstarter or Indiegogo or things like that, which we might do as well. We might do that too, but right now, like we have some good investors and some good people, and we're opening it up to other people. So if some other people want to invest and they're serious, get in contact with us and we'll put you in touch with our legal team, and they'll send you all of our projections and deck and executive summary and financials and all that stuff, and our cap table and ledger and all this kind of legal stuff that I had to learn.
Is there a minimum? Like you need to invest at least 50,000, or is it
Right?
like
Yeah, we have minimums for institutions, but if they're individuals who want to invest a smaller amount, we have an advisory board that some of the celebrities are on, and we will say, okay, here's what they are offering, here's what they want to invest, even if it's a smaller amount, and we'll try to see if we can get them special approval as an individual versus as a corporation or something.
Oh, that's cool.
And
All right.
that way it gives a chance to everybody to own a little piece of what we're doing. So hopefully, in the long run, we could all celebrate together as we're creating this new universe of characters, and there's so many characters that I have, like, and they're well fleshed out too. Like there's a lot of cool characters. Nobody's heard of them. So I'm excited about it. Like I've only revealed 5 in this book, but I have like hundreds of characters, and
Wait,
they're,
so that Gakito has 5 first appearances?
no, so Gakito is one character, right? Then we have Ravidactyl, Codename Justice, Tricity, Cleo. Those are the main star characters. There are other characters in the book as well, so it's technically there's a few more, but those are more background characters, So, but these are like our main hero characters that we have here, and I think we'll launch pretty strong with Codename Justice and Ravidactyl, because I think it'll connect with today's world. You know what I mean? It's very much about trying to overcome, suffering, mental health issues, finding purpose, injuries, pain, loss, how to overcome those and somehow become a hero in that process. You know what I mean? And then trying to bring that into the new digital blockchain space, Web3, NFTs, all these kind of, this exciting kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's really thrilling, and people can trade that like stocks. An NFT is like a visual stock, especially if you animate it. It's kind of fun if you turn it into an animation, or you see the character flying around or some cool stuff. And I've invented some new technology, which I'm really excited about with a really good team of people that I have.
Can you say anything about it?
Well, I'm trying to think what I could say. It will reinvent comic books forever. It will really reinvent the comic book. And there have been little previews of this done in very small, minute ways, but never combined into what I want to do with it and take users into a traditional comic book and bring digital and multimedia into that traditional comic book and turn it kind of upside down on its head. So I think it'll make the experience more interactive and more exciting for users who get the book, for actual consumers and fans. And I know for me, honestly, I kind of do this for myself because I love this stuff, and I know what I would want to have happen in the comic, but what I haven't seen done. So by teaming up with certain key people, some people are like formerly of Meta, and really good programmers, good people, and combining those talents into one, and then taking this and bringing it to a next level. What I hope to do, without spoiling anything, is have all the future comic books have a special unlock feature to show you more of the expanded story. Kind of think of like Zack Snyder putting out Justice League, and then he put out, they wanted the Snyder Cut, which was the 4-hour edition of it, right? So if we could have a comic book stand alone on its own, but have unlock features that allow you to expand into that comic book and see never before seen stuff, it really tells the story in a much grander scale, utilizing new technology that I've not seen it done yet in this way. So I'm really pumped about it. I really hope we get this funding for this so I could kind of surprise everybody with this stuff. I think you'll have fun. They'll have fun holding a comic book in their hand and using their phones and tablets. And, if you like things like AR and VR and XR, and you're into all of that stuff, just take everything you've seen and there's something you haven't seen. And that's the combination of what you're going to see revealed. It's a new way to do it, and it's very interactive too, and it's fun. And it's not complicated, it's simple, and it's it uses. Oh, I want to tell you so badly, but I want to ruin the surprise. It's a lot to do.
Have you put a patent out for it?
What'd you say?
Have you put a patent out for it?
We're working to see what we can patent. It's very hard and expensive. Like, that's the other problem too, is to do the patent on something is so costly. Like, I had it's like $10,000 just to start, and it takes years to get approved. And I've been hearing a mess with that stuff. So in my, it's not something that I don't want to limit people from using the technology or be a miser. I just want to put it out there for the love of the comic book industry and the art. You kind of like the way Elon Musk did with his car. He released all the plans online for people to download. That's kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like even with my comic book, like Aikido, having a digital downloadable version of that comic book, I'm aware of the fact that people could swipe it or try to, illegally bootleg it or whatever. But I just want the comic to get out there. I want people to enjoy it. And hopefully if they like it enough and they want to see more comic books, then maybe they'll purposely buy the book to help us save up money to put out more work for them.
Yeah. How many of those do you have on you, the Aikidos, that particular one?
Oh, I think this actual book, I believe, is the only. I think I have one more in a storage box that I have, but I believe these are I only have a couple. That's it, only here left.
Gotcha. How much did they sell for, or how? I mean, no, those are like yours, but how much do they usually sell for?
Well, I mean, it's like $5 for the $4.99 for the comic book, right? But what's funny is that I saw on eBay some people took the comic and they got it CGC graded at a 9.8, and sold it for like $100. And I was like, oh my God, and then with my signature, the signature on it, I was like, wow, why didn't I do that? I was selling for $5, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So that was the newsstand price, so to speak, or the comic shop price. Now we'll charge maybe $20 for a signed comic or something like that, if for whatever inventory we have, and then left in the warehouse and stuff. But we sold out of the whole thing. There's like a small handful of books left that I believe is in like the warehouse. I have to check if it's the unmasked version or the masked version that we have left and stuff. And then there's like a special edition version that is signed by the co-creator writer Brandon Wilson, me, the artist Graig Weich, Coco, and Adrienne Curry, who plays the part of Tricity in the comic book, and all four of us signed that, which was like really cool. So that
one's gonna be worth a pretty penny.
Yeah, that one goes for a couple $100 or something. So it's not too bad to have that. But there's I think like maybe like a couple of them left or something, if that. So that was exciting. We had those distributed also as an incentive exclusive one through Diamond Distribution as well with Steve Jeppy, which was cool. Hello, Steve and Josh, if you're watching.
I PayPal you $20 right now. We do a giveaway for that.
Oh, that's so awesome! That's really cool. Yeah, we could try to do something like that. Let me check to make sure I have one in the inventory. Then that'd be cool.
All right, cool beans. Let's I'll say we'll do. Usually, I'll ask someone like a question. I'll be like, "Who said this line of dialogue?" and whatever, and then whoever's the first one to answer is when I'll go and be like, "Okay, you win," and then I'll have them give me their information.
Oh, that's all. Yeah, let's do it. We'll do. I'll give you this one that I have, and I'll find the other one later.
Okay, yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, like I said, I'll pay by 20, and let's get this bread. Let's do let's go to the website real quick, and let's see what we can find here. So for those of you that do not know, it's beyondcomics.tv.
Yes, beyondcomics.tv, which, by the way, you have to type in the browser, because if you put it in Google, it pulls up the old website. I don't know why, but that's what it's doing.
Does the old website just go like slower? Wait, is this am I on the right one?
Let me see. That's correct.
Okay, cool.
That is correct.
All right, so so it'll be whoever types it in first. Like, let's say if Chase types it and Ginferno types it, it'll show on Chase's computer that he typed it in first, and it'll show on Ginferno that he typed it in first. So whichever one I see is the one that actually goes first. So I guess the little trivia, if you've been paying attention, is Cleo. How many inches is her action figure?
Okay, that's an inappropriate question, young man. No.
Whoever types in how many inches her action figure is will win the giveaway. Will be signed, and then we'll get to that. Oh, yeah, Ginferno got it. 12.
Boom, you got it. 12 inches, 1/6 scale.
My bad.
Congratulations.
And definitely hang on to that one, Ginferno. Keep by all means read the digital, but this one hang on to, and we'll get that bread.
That's awesome.
So Ginferno, shoot me a message. I'll get your info and all that. Let's talk off camera for a little bit, because we have some stuff to talk about.
It'll be fun.
Or bye-bye Dashi. Anything else you want to say before we bounce to the
first of all, I just want to say hello to all you guys watching, and thank you, all of you guys, for contributing to keeping comic books alive and NFTs and digital art. On behalf of all my fellow artists and writers and independents out there, thank you so much. You guys are the best.
Yeah, it's a little blurry, but I have 539 comics on VeVe.
Wow! Oh my God, that's amazing! Oh my God, how many people are watching live right now?
There's 200.
Oh, that's awesome. Hello, all of you guys. What's up? Great from beyondcomics.tv. Follow, like, subscribe, hit the smash button. I don't know, whatever. I can't even remember.
All right. Yeah, this has been great. You'll come on again. Maybe next time we'll have a little more news, but now we'll talk off camera for a bit.